Well, it's through real estate, stock, investing, right? Because that's the new way to acquire passive income. So that's the shift. The problem is that we, as a community, as a whole, we never got the memo because we have historically it wasn't that we hadn't got the memo. We were promised things. Exactly. It was promised to us and we were never entitled to it. And we never got what we were promised. So as far as reparations, we never got our 40 acres and a mule. The Indians, they gave the Indians all these reservations, and the black Indians, what the white people did was they said, hey, Indian people, if you know what I'm saying, classify yourself a specific type of way, we can exclude the black people from, you know what I'm saying, receiving some of these reparations as well, and they can be, you know, eliminated from the wealth. And that's what the Indians did. So the Indians were actually slave catchers, one, and two, they practiced discrimination against black people. And then you have this influx of immigration, and with this influx of immigration, they allow all these Europeans and all these, you know what I'm saying, Asians or whatever to come into the country, and then they want to talk about diversity. Right?
But
So go ahead.
I mean, all right, I get that, but I just feel like it's the second generation, though. So, you know, the people who go out and make the money, right, and they got the grind and they have the necessary sacrifice to do it, but then the money is passed down. But then the purpose and the education aspect of what you're speaking about is not. So, I mean, great case in point. I mean, it's not a real example, but my wife's family, her grandfather got 40 acres in a mule. Okay. 40 acres, right?
Okay.
And, you know, she's committed to making sure that land stays in her family, just, you know, knowing what they came about it. And, you know, I know the whole thing about it. You know, they gave a lot of people the 40 acres, and then the government came and took it back. Blah blah blah. All right, cool. But I just feel like right now, the amount of money black people pay in taxes, and I'm kind of salty because I got a freaking high tax bill right now. But amount of money black people pay in taxes, right?
Right.
If we leave and we take all that tax money away, they're going to feel it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just feel like, you know, they lied. Okay, well, how are you going to trust somebody who came over and lied to get you to come over here? You know.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a multi-layered approach. Like you're talking about multiple layers.
Right.
You're talking about another layer, right? But it's the mindset. Like the mindset is what didn't transfer. So the second generation, they're pretty much starting over with no ingredients. Right, those ingredients to actually have all those things that the first generation had to their minds to say, okay, no matter what opposition I'm facing, I'm going to go out, I'm going to make this happen. I have it within me to face all these obstacles, right? And they don't understand, you know, the need to do that, you know. So I think that's a factor as far as the second generation not understanding how to handle the wealth, not understanding what we need to do as a people, and then it's all those other things that broke us down initially.
Exactly.
That's still a factor.
Exactly.
Right? So, like I think my wife got a similar situation. Like in the Eastern Shore, her family owns a lot of land down there, but it's broken up between different family members, but it's still like a big plot of land where it all comes together.
Right.
So the mindset to even come together and say, let's do something with this wasn't there. So there the land sits. It's there right now, vacant. Nobody's doing anything with it because that generation didn't get taught properly by the first generation. It was almost assumed as if you're going through the same experiences as me, so maybe you'll absorb it, and that wasn't the focus in a lot of cases. So a lot of times the ball gets dropped.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I look at my grandfather, like him and his brother came from South Carolina up to New York, and then they worked for GM, right? Now, you know, I mean, I don't know what kind of education my grandfather had, but, you know, he carried himself well, and I think he did like what he thought was good with, like he got his kids jobs at GM, but he didn't, how do you put it? Well, him and his brother, they got, you know, the people came behind them jobs there, but then they got hooked on drugs.
Right.
You know, so it was like, you know, he provided the opportunity, provided the path, but then the guidance or, you know, didn't go through it, so they wasn't able to capitalize on that part and then build and then do it for the next generation and then the next generation. I mean, even though the plant closed, but I'm just saying it's the point.
I think one thing that just appreciate is the different approaches we have to take generation to generation. Because even now, right, I'm 38, right? So when I was coming up, when I was, 17, 18, I was thinking about business. We didn't, internet was new. It was, the 90s.
Right.
So we had America Online,
Right.
But I was still out there. I was going to the SBA. I wanted to find out how do I start a business,
Right.
what I do to incorporate.
Right.
By foot, I'm traveling around to different trade shows because you have to put the footwork in.
Exactly.
My sister, she's 9 years younger than me. So she's like two graduating years of high school, 4-year terms away from me. It's a total different mindset.
Yeah.
The energy and the passion, it's not there. If you can't find it online, God forbid you would have to go do some footwork and go to the library and figure all this stuff out. It's a difference. We grew up in the same household, but certain things you really can't take it for granted. And even now, like a couple buddies of mine, they got their son's about to graduate high school, right? So they're 16, 17. They want to put them through the best education, right, and kind of guide them in the path that we didn't have. Mm-hmm. But what I'm seeing now is they're struggling because certain social situations hasn't built a certain character or grit into their sons. So they're not really savvy enough for them to feel comfortable going abroad to school. They're kind of sheltered from certain aspects of life for you to be able to navigate. In a sense, it's almost like almost shyness to deal with the world, right? So you almost have to engineer certain social situations to give them that character nowadays because information flows so quick.
Right.
But the development of character doesn't flow as quick, if that makes sense.
So do you mean abroad, like overseas, or abroad just leaving
So his son,
home?
he wants to be an engineer. And one of the schools he wanted to go to was overseas.
That's good. Yeah.
So he's a kid. He grew up. He's on the computer a lot. Good kid, gets straight A's. He plays sports. He runs track.
Right.
But he hasn't dealt with situations socially for him to be comfortable enough to go overseas and say, I'm going to be able to handle myself. You can probably look at him across the way and be like, okay, maybe I can, do something to manipulate this kid. Right? And that just has to come with certain situations we dealt with, just engaging with each other, having conflict, building character, learning how to navigate in different situations. So I'm seeing that as a commonality in a lot of kids from 12 to 16 now. You almost have to think about, how do I make sure you have this character? Because we're not engaging, so you don't have the level of conflict. And then we are so politically correct in a lot of situations, you don't let your kids scrape their knees to be able to develop. Not necessarily like in a street way or a bad way, but just to develop character and be able to navigate and be your best in school, be your best in conflict in a debate club or whatever have you. Just to compete in the world.
Right.
So
that's, I think, one of the things I like the fact that you mentioned compete, because a lot of times we're in situations where we're not taught to compete on that level.
Right.
Most of our children and most of us have been taught to compete on the field.
Right.
You know what I mean? We haven't really been taught to compete economically. And we haven't been taught to even concern ourselves with our own personal rulership. And so whereas though we just kind of default to a situation where we assume that other people have been running this country and they want to keep running this country, as opposed to saying, what if we decide to run this country? What if we decide to be, to build on some powernomics, like Claude Anderson said? And his approach is a 5-point plan.
Exactly.
Where he talks about getting in control of your money. First, getting in control of your money. Then you can use your money to get in control of your politics. Then once you got in control of your money and your politics, then you can control your law enforcement. And then once you control your law enforcement and things like that, then you can control the media and your image, your own personal image. And then from there, then you can control education. The sure that system stays in existence.
Exactly.
Let's talk about that. Okay. So the first one you said, control your money, right? I'm going to go on a limb and say that's more than just balancing your checkbook, right?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. It's building wealth and creating wealth in your community,
we have
controlling the economics amongst ourselves.
We have to. The dollar in the black community leaves the black community in under 6 hours.
6 hours.
The Jewish community, they keep their dollar in 27 days. When we had Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, the dollar circulated 100 times, at least 100 times before it left our community. And that's why the white people, the government contracted the Ku Klux Klan to drop bombs from World War One. I believe from World War One on top of that city. That's why they did that. That was actually the first terrorist attack involving on U.S. soil using airplanes. The bombing on Tulsa, Oklahoma, and their scapegoat was a black guy harassed a white woman.
So even with all that said, right? We know all that happened. All right, what do we do to get that back? Like, what's the first 3 steps we need to do?
You got to understand resources.
Today.
We don't understand resources.
But no. See, not understanding resources is not an action item.
Okay. So I think like if you're talking about the first major phase is resources. But
so we need to do a resource inventory.
That can be broken down. Like if you're talking about finances, how do we think about that? What is our thought process when it comes to money, and how do we relate to that? Because right now, a lot of people don't even think it needs to be a conversation, or we're so scared because it brings up anxiety about the money that we don't have as a people. Right. It's really not a conversation.
So here's the thing: we do have money. We have a $1.2 trillion spending power right now in the U.S. We do have money. We just keep giving it away. You can't say we don't have money if we can always afford the new Jordans.
We keep talking about the problem, not the solution. So
let's talk about the solution.
No, the first one is controlling the money.
Okay.
So what's the first 3 things
financial
we need
literacy.
to do?
We need to get organized. We need to have financial literacy.
No. We're not talking about what we need to do. We're talking about
what's action item number 1.
Okay. Action step number 1 is we get organized. So this is number 1. This getting organized, so recruiting people, having people meet.
Let's put a check. Let's put a check by that. All right. So what's number 2?
So first, we're talking about education.
Hold on, okay. I want to expand on the organizing because that's a very broad and general term. Okay, let's be very clear about what we're doing right here, because you said something that's absolutely 100% true, was the fact that we're here. And first of all, the fact that we're in a black-owned business, doing business with a black-owned business, and we're talking about black issues. It's just not probable that we can really have real heart-to-heart conversations in the midst of white people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So first and foremost, we got to have our own safe havens, and so when we're organizing for ourselves, with ourselves, okay? And so, and it's we're consciously spending money for black-owned business today. You know what I mean? And that is the beginning. So when we say organizing, we're organizing our own thoughts amongst this table and our economics, because this is cooperative economics right here at work.
Right, but I think one of the first steps should be, like you said, consciously spend money with a black business. So we and we had this conversation before the last time we said about using black-owned businesses, and man, it's been so we buy the house, right? We have a black agent, we got a black
what's that place called?
Loan officer,
signing agent, title,
and so we have all that is black, but it's like there's still some challenges you get.
Absolutely.
Now. When you run through obstacles, your natural thought is to be like, am I running through this obstacle because they black, or am I running through this obstacle because this is just a complicated deal?
You gotta be careful. You doing business with black people can make you a racist sometimes.
But so I always think about the conversation we had the last time. Like I think about it like 4 times a day, right? But it's you still have to make the conscious effort. But not every challenge you have with a black business is a black business fault.
Yeah, it's very true.
Some are.
Yes.
But somewhere. And anyway. But I'm just saying, so I think if we make a conscious effort to spend your money at least once with a black person, a black business, before everybody make that one thing, then I think that can be a step that is a quick win.
Right, and that's 100% true. And I don't think that we should. And the way that my family does it, we don't look at looking at one shot deals. We kind of look at a percentage. You know, when I open up my account, my monthly statement, I can look and see how many times I spend money with black people. Sometimes I use cash because I'm a cash man, but we can see where we spend money at. You know what I mean? So if we look at like our, you know, just whatever expenditures that we might have, that might come to 10% some months. Some months it might be 30%. You know what I mean? But it's for us, you know, as a family, we're half of our money is going to like, you know, just our living expenses, and you know, T-Mobile is not black. You understand what I'm saying? Your mortgage company is probably not, you know what I mean, who you pay your money to, everybody maybe not black, unless, you know what I mean. They don't, and even the black companies don't normally hold their paper like that. That's just not a banking thing. But so I'm just saying, like, so when we look at our monies, we can say, you know, hey, we might be able to spend 10%, 20%, 30%. But just the fact that we're talking about it, right, is, you know, and we consciously move that. Right.
But see, so I had this conversation with this other guy, and we call it a time bank, but he was like, he was making his own currency. And so, like, I feel like if we can somehow figure out a way to create a different kind of currency that we use, that we spend with black businesses.
It's feasible. I mean, look at Bitcoin.
Right.
You have a lot of different digital currencies.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on a short bus with Bitcoin. I feel like I'm like holding my head in
There's
sand.
so many now. I mean, because
There's
you know, a lot of people feel that the freedom that Bitcoin gave you
Yeah.
is being taken away. You know, now it's looking at a major type of currency. So there's been like a lot of spin-off, you know, alternative currencies. But just like those have been developed, you can develop different things and put a brand awareness behind it, just like you would, you know, brand like what's the campaign red that they did with a lot of different corporations, Apple partnerships. If there was a currency branded behind black empowerment and it became let's call it black coin for whatever have you, every time you spend this amount goes to a certain organization that's focused on that. I can see that being powerful.
So, like in our youth program we teach, I'm sure y'all are gonna sign up to a 10-1 week, but they was gonna use this thing called Eagle Bucks. They get Eagle Bucks based on their behavior, but not all the teachers give out Eagle Bucks the same way, and the value is like skewed. But we gave them school supplies this year, and so the kids that's in the program are going to sell the school supplies, and so the currency they made up is based off of grades. And so if you get an A, you get so many points, you get so many things, and so it works like credit. So the kids that's going to participate in it, you know, when they sell it, you know, they bring their progress report card, and then that's how they can get the school supplies. But we have to have the kids who are participating in the actual program use their report cards to be able to buy the school supplies and then resell it. So I'm like, I feel like if we can do this with fifth graders, we should be able to do this with adults.
You know, you can do it, but here's the thing: that currency has to be accepted by every other business that we need. So the way they can control that or compete is, you know, if we do support that as a community, right? Who's to say I can go buy a car with that currency? Who's to say I can go buy a house? Who can say I can go grocery shopping with that currency? We would have to have some leverage to say, you're going to have to accept our currency or else.
Well, but the thing is that...
Let me talk a little bit about the currency. I have a limited experience about it, but just some. When it comes to this currency, okay, currency in short is an agreement amongst people.
Exactly.
So I always because I'm a man, I say it's agreement amongst men. You know what I mean? I agree to exchange, 4 cubes of ice for your bag, and we exchange, and that's our agreement, and that's even for us. We said that's okay. So we shook hands on it, and that's cool. And the same thing is happening with the dollar, the Bitcoin, and anything else. The thing about Bitcoin is that it's trust, because though you have the trust you have a real trust in a situation where you don't have to base it on anything other than the ledger. They look through and they see, okay, this person has been doing this and this is the ledger. People are keeping track, so there's a limited amount, there's a limited resource. The thing about whenever we introduce another currency, we have to have some type of trust, a fiduciary situation where there's a third party, and the third party normally is a centralized bank.
Oh, but what we could do, if we really wanted to, we could contact the fiat and have them print our own currency, and we can print black people on that currency. Harriet Tubmans and all.
But the value of it is what is like when you introduce that to an international market or a global economy. You know what I mean? You have to have many people in agreement that they are going to accept these 4 cubes of ice.
Right. But so it's it's like a bank, right? So we brought the school supplies, so we can dictate what we would accept in exchange for the school supplies.
Right.
So,
but the caveat to that is that everybody was dealing with it differently. So when they went to one classroom, Eagle Bucks was worth this.
Right.
When we went to another classroom, Eagle Bucks was worth that. And so what we're dealing with is that how, the same way in euros, they're worth something, and douche is worth something, and francs and pounds. It's something, and it's something different. And that's the challenge. Like, because like everybody's not on board to have it centralized, but they agreed to, this is worth this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. I just feel like, okay, well, let's not jump. So we got what? What we got?
We got organizing our money, spending money consciously, and
then we got educating people on financial literacy.
Financial literacy. All right, so can I speak on financial literacy?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so as far as financial literacy goes, this is where we come to an understanding of what it takes to be an entrepreneur, how to acquire assets, because for a long time I didn't know the difference between an asset and a liability, and my mother wasn't able to teach me, and because my mother wasn't able to teach me, everything that she did not learn I had to make up for by learning on my own. And so because I didn't have anyone to reach out to and help, I had to front the bill to learn all of this information. And you have all of these gurus who are charging $40,000 to learn about how to basic real estate investing. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So we need, now through people like Dr. Boyce Watkins and Jay Morrison Academy, we have, I feel like that was the first step towards financial literacy. That was the first step that we needed to introduce black people to what it's going to take to start accumulating wealth in our community. So that was step one. We already have the black schools for financial literacy that give black people access to that information, that specialized knowledge.
I think that stuff is like too deep.
What do you mean?
Because, all right, it's like you're giving somebody a master's, but they haven't graduated high school yet. You know what I'm saying? Like if a person doesn't own a house, if their car is worth more than their apartment, why are they looking to invest in real estate?
Because they did not know.
No. What I'm saying is that
they did not know.
Right. And so they're trying to take these large steps without the right footing, and then wonder why they keep falling.
I think it depends on a target, though, because I think, there's different levels of things that has to be created. So for the real estate, that's targeted for people who are ready for it. But then people who are not ready for it, you have something.
Let me ask you this question here.
Okay.
If you buy your house in your 20s, right, in your 50s, your house should be paid for. Realistically?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. Okay. If you get an apartment and a new car in your 20s, are you gonna have that apartment and new car in your 50s?
No.
So the fundamental first thing is you have to put your stake in the ground. You gotta put your flag.
But that goes back to financial literacy, because if you're financially literate,
I agree with you on that part. I just feel like a lot of times they put too much information out too fast.
Okay, so this is what you do. We need leaders in our community that can. All right, so look, here's the thing. We can't eradicate poverty. We cannot eradicate poverty overnight. But the people who want to make it to the other side, the black folk who are ready, you know what I'm saying, who are ready to go to war, who are ready to benefit, who are ready to acquire this wealth, they're going to come humble and hungry, and it's going to be very easy to lead them to the promised land.
Right.
And that's who we need to focus on. We don't need to focus on the people who are stuck on stupid, because it is very hard to argue with the fool. We're going to waste a lot of time doing that. It's best that the people who are ready for what it is that we're trying to do now, we work together, we come together, and we form our mastermind group, and we acquire the wealth that we need, and then go back while we're changing the system, and it'll make it a lot easier to lift the rest of the population up.
I think what you're both saying is valid, right? But I think it's like you said, they put too much out that's not appropriate for certain people.
Right.
I think I disagree in this aspect. I think there's a sickness. There's different levels of sickness. You have different medicines.
Very true.
Right? So the real estate, Jay Morrison, that prescription is for people who are ready. The people who are not even aware that you shouldn't get that apartment or that car first, we give them a different prescription. We'll give them Tylenol. We're going to give these people penicillin. Right? So I think the they is just what's marketed best. But I think we need to look at this thing like the ocean. We can't boil the ocean. So we got to pick out one part of the time.
Let me slide this in. So this is the fine print. Okay. The fine print is education to what end? That's where we're losing it. Because it's like, as right now, it's like, well, I'm building this wealth for what? I'm going here for what? So I'm buying this house for what? Or I'm buying this apartment for what? Or I'm buying these tennis shoes for what? And that's the questions that aren't really being asked right now. So when we say because it looks hot, no, okay, that's fine. But if we're talking about, most people aren't looking down the line,
right?
That 30 years. So they're not looking in their 20s. They're not seeing 50 all the time. But they're not taught this look at 50 all the time. And so so financially, we don't know how how that's going to impact us 50 years down the line, because that's the gap that we're not missing. None of like you said, no, your parents didn't teach you.
But look, let me ask you a question here, right? How many people been in the military? Armed Forces.
ROTC.
You said Armed Forces or law enforcement? Okay, so you was in ROTC.
Yeah, Marine Corps ROTC in college.
Did they have prerequisites?
Yes.
Okay. The military have prerequisites before you can go into the military. People think anybody can go into the military, but you have to do simple things to be able to go into the military.
Demonstrate.
Right.
A certain amount of intelligence.
That's all I'm saying. It's like we need a bare basic thing to say, okay, you get it. And if you get it, we can work with you.
And so that goes back to the point where I'm saying that we don't try to change people's minds. We go after the people who are already ready and who want to participate. So I'm not going to sit here and argue if I'm talking to somebody, you know what I'm saying?
But the how? Like how do you do that?
So that's
through define the problem, right? So the thing is, what are we trying to solve? Like the first thing is, what is our focus? What's the biggest problem that we can impact, right?
So if we look at because we mentioned there's a lot of steps, right? There's dealing with politics, right? Mm-hmm. What's the main thing politics look at?
Money.
They look at money, but they look at residents. Mm-hmm. They look at homeowners.
Yes.
Because homeowners vote.
Right.
Typically.
Yep.
But if we're not trying to be homeowners, then we're not going to be taken seriously.
Right. Very true.
So I feel like the first step should be everybody should get a home.
Now, what's the root cause?
All right, so
what's the
cause?
We got to strategize.
The root cause, because you made a good point. Because not everybody is going to get that home. Their mindset. What's the root cause to get people to think that? Because you have you got elementary, you got high school, and then you got college.
Well, but you got waves. But you got waves. So say if everybody who wants to be a homeowner is wave one.
But we homeown where? You understand? Because in order to affect politics, politics is a group situation.
It is.
So whereas though we're going to talk politically, then we got to politically look at it. We have to look at an area to to invest in.
That's
where people are going to buy homes in this area, because it's no point in us buying. Each one of us, you buy a home in Westminster, I buy a home in Woodlawn, but we talk about we doing things together. You know what I mean? And so whereas though if we he came here once. He hasn't come in here.
I need some calories.
Yeah, you're right. but we gotta say, okay, we buying a home, so we gotta look at an area. So if we're gonna take, all right, the understanding is this: individuals come together to make groups of families come together to make community, groups of communities come together to make nation. But all that is, all we're talking about is we got to start somewhere, and if we're talking about politics, that's a geographic area. You know what I mean? So we got to look at what district can we see that maybe we can go there as a group.
So how about this, right? So we can affect, let's say our target was Baltimore, okay? Let's say our target was Baltimore. Okay, if our target's Baltimore, then we need to start influencing the black people in Baltimore. Now, in Baltimore, I'm pretty sure Baltimore is predominantly black, right? Am I wrong? Okay, cool. So, but the problem is the majority of the wealth is not in the black people's hands, which is typically the case in most cities in the United States. So what we need to do is start talking to, let's say, we speak to our leaders. I think that's step number one, because they can reach the masses. We speak to the people who can reach the message, and we need to have a platform of some sort to reach out to individuals, and we need to let them know, hey, there's a war going on, and we need you to take up arms. And what I mean by this, that's an analogy for saying, all right, black people, it's time to come together. Now, are you with me, or are you going to keep doing what you're doing? The people who are ready are going to come, and they're going to want to groupthink with us and participate in the movement, okay? So now we have an organization. So we start breaking this down even further. So in the military, you have your enlisted, you have your, NCOs, and you have your staff NCOs, and you have your officers. We need some sort of organization so that the word can get passed down effectively from top to bottom when leadership makes some sort of decision, right? Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is get black people in this organization to understand the difference between an asset and a liability. These are very basic principles of wealth accumulation and financial literacy. Once we, set that as the precedent, okay, now we can teach them how to acquire these assets.
So, like, if we form an organization like black men, like black professional men, and they all come together, and do those things, you think that'd be good?
I believe that's the most solid first step, because
so I think what you're saying, I think you're right, and I see where you're going. But here's the thing, I think we need to start smaller.
Okay.
Take bites out the elephant, because here's the thing, liabilities, assets, that's definitely important, right, to building wealth.
Right.
If we're talking about Baltimore, right?
Yes.
If we have this category of liabilities and assets,
right,
I think we need to be in touch with the people's barrier to understanding liabilities and assets. So overall, we can say in general, black people, we don't really have a good understanding of liabilities and assets, right, as far as wealth. But in Baltimore specifically, what's Baltimore's main issues with connecting people to that? Because it's going to be different in Baltimore than Philly, than Newark, and than New York. So being that we're local, we got to find out what's the major way we can affect that in Baltimore.
Okay, so check this out. Philadelphia, they've actually already done it. I forgot the guy's name, but in South Philly, they've done this already. They went in and they bought up entire blocks. They bought up a whole block, like 100 houses, fixed them up, put a church there, started changing the school system, the whole thing, the whole shebang. What we're talking about, they've done it. We can get in touch with the guy who led that campaign.
Did something like that in Texas too.
Yeah, we can get in touch with the guy who led that campaign, bring him over here, and he'll help us. So we don't have to. We're not here on our own. Again, this is us recruiting leadership because they want to help. We just have to get in contact with these people. We just have to reach out, because I am 100% certain that if we do, we'll get a response. I know from personal experience because I've already begun this process.
So, what areas do we buy?
So I think here's what I think. Like, in your project manager, right? So one thing that I see that most projects fail, right? We see something that works in one organization. We're like, that tool, that solution, it's going to be great. Let's put that in our organization without first finding out the specifics of what our real problems are. Okay. So we can sit and we can look at a situation and we might think that's the problem, but until you dive deep and you touch the people, you don't understand what they're saying is their major issue.
But I think
it might be that.
I think
we just need to.
I think the thing that we talked about was one of the main issues is the ability to exercise your voice politically.
Say it again.
The ability to exercise your voice politically. All right, and the way you do that is control your money, control. What's number 2?
It's your money, your politics, your military.
Yeah. So if we just look at the first 2, control your money, control your politics. The best way to control your money is to own where you live. Okay. Once you own where you live, then you can own where you work.
Okay,
so
so-
you know what? You know I see a barrier?
Go ahead.
Because let's say we create this great system, right?
Okay.
It's a system that's broken down, very simple. And
Okay.
It can help people understand how to control your money, how to make
Right.
the connection to politics.
Right.
So if I give you this information, I give you this entire system, and you follow this step by step, you're gonna be successful. All you have to do is take this system and you follow it step by step. We're gonna offer you all the support.
Right.
Beneath that, let's say my mindset isn't right to even make me understand that this is a good system to even approach.
Okay.
Like, why would I eat the vegetables if I don't even know if it's healthy?
All right, so check this out. So there's a difference between motivation and empowerment, right? So when you motivate somebody, you get them all,
Rah.
yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? You get them, yeah, I want to do this, yeah. But then they run into this wall. They say, okay, how do we do it? Right? I can't do it.
First
I don't
they
have the
they have
tools
to
to
want
do
to
it.
do it.
Very true, but I can want it. If I can't do it, I can't do it. If I want to buy, I can want to buy a house, but if I don't have access to working capital, I'm not going to be able to buy that house. So what we do is we empower black folk by giving them the resources that they need in order to acquire these assets. This can be done, and I know it can be done because I'm doing it. This can be done through leverage. Right?
But think about this here, though.
I think it could be done.
No, but think about this here, though, right?
Okay, good.
For a person to buy a house,
Yes.
we're saying it flippantly, like, okay, get everybody to buy a house, right? It's not just that simple. So there's there's pre-steps you have to take.
2 years of employment.
Right.
Down
so,
payment.
So, like, one of the things I learned, because I was a genius at doing, well, I'm not saying this, right? But I was a genius at doing my taxes, right?
Okay.
So, I did my taxes, I had a lot of business expenses. It was real rough those years, right? But then when I went to go buy a house, they was like, oh, well, you don't got no money. I was like, okay. So, I learned you got to bite the bullet.
There are, but here's the thing: when it comes to acquiring real estate, you all right? Yes, so they can look at your employment history, but again, if you have creative financing, if you have ways, because I mean there are so many different ways to acquire assets.
Man,
Check this out.
You can't systematically use one-offs.
No. This isn't a one-off. This is something that we can come together and have everyone doing. And so one thing is, again, when you teach people how to, all right, so there's 2 different ways that, create as far as creative financing goes. One, actually there's way more than that, but I'm only going to touch on these 2. One, life insurance, right? You can use your death benefit as collateral to take out a loan and acquire an asset, an income producing asset. So we teach people, hey, check this out. Use your death benefit, use that as collateral, acquire an asset, a home worth, however much. Acquire. Just listen, hear me out. A duplex, triplex, quadplex, rent out the properties. Now you have passive income. You've just created wealth for yourself. Wealth that's never gonna go away. There you go. Step 1. Or in every single scenario, you need credit. In order to do that, you need credit. So we develop programs whereas we teach people, or not even teach people, we literally fix black people's credit community-wide, like a system in which we literally go in and aggressively attack black people's credit and build it up. And you can do this through, I know JMA has a program, J. Morrison Academy has a program, I know VIP Financial Education has a program, I know Dean Cole has a program.
So let's say we do that. Right? Okay. So do we give this away free to the people?
So here's another thing. Okay, so back to again Powernomics. So when when we offer these programs, some of them, they're gonna cost money. You know what I'm saying? Of course, some of them are gonna cost money.
No,
but
answer the question.
yes,
That's good.
But there are ways in which we can keep the dollars flowing within the community. So you spend money to acquire, you know what I'm saying, the specialized knowledge, or this great credit, and then you understand that the money that you're acquiring working capital. It's an investment. You know what I'm saying? You're not really spending it. It's an investment. So you're investing in your credit, because once you build up your personal credit, you can personal guarantee your business credit. And now if you have a 750 to 800, just listen.
I heard you.
Okay.
I heard.
Go ahead.
I got you. So the only thing I'm saying is that, like you mentioned, a lot of great gems there, right? So the thing about the life insurance, right?
Okay.
Now, not everybody understands about the life insurance, but then also it takes time for your life insurance to mature for you to be able to use it as collateral.
It's not like a short.
So
Right.
it's so
That's
you
not
know
a short-term strategy.
right.
But business credit is. So again,
It's shorter. You still have to build it up.
It is shorter, right? And you do have to build it up, but it doesn't take longer than a year. It doesn't take longer than a year.
But so are you saying that we go South Baltimore, right?
yes,
And we get 300 people.
that would be amazing. Yes, that's an amazing
I
number.
didn't even say it yet.
Yeah, go ahead.
And we say, okay, if you sign up for this program, at the end of this program, it's not a time limit program, it's a task focused program.
Right.
You would be X. You would be at level 2.
Yes.
But it's gonna cost you money, we don't know how much.
We can put a price on it.
I understand what you're saying. But that's what you're saying we
Yes,
do.
yes, that's what I say we do. I say, look, this is where you are. This is where you can be if you do this. You will get here. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not disputing it. I'm not disputing it.
Right.
I'm agreeing.
Okay.
But history or experience has told me you gotta have step 1, step 1A, step 1B, step 1C, step 1D, then 2. 2A, 2B.
Okay.
So you have to drill down when you coming up with that, like an organizational.
Right.
That's an organizational behavior that you're trying to alter, because those people in that area probably are doing the same thing their grandparents did.
It's very true.
I'll say this because I'm gonna speak on this from 2 different levels. One is that I've been involved in dozens of real estate transactions, both on an investment side as well as on the professional side. I worked as a mortgage broker for about 2 years. And and one of the things that we did was, was some of what you're dealing with, as far as like equity separation, as well as utilizing other forms to even create these insurances and things like that. And we would have workshops where we would probably about 100 people a month that were at different places in the system.
Right.
Different places where, where we can actually set them up to have these these alternate type of insurance policies and other types of issues, but they had to qualify. They were in a wealth building strategy type of mode.
Right.
Because that's really kind of what it takes, in order to get into that. That's more of on somebody that's probably close to 50.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where they might not have ever. Because I'm gonna just say I had a candid conversation with my dad after his retirement and after his birthday about in August.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And one of the things that came out of that discussion when I asked him about, hey, just when you guys pass away, when you guys transition,
right,
who do I call? What do I do?
Right.
I asked him that, and he told me to my face that, hey, we haven't worked that out yet. It was disappointing.
Yeah.
And it was also alarming.
Right.
Because this is a guy that has 2 Porsches in his garage. You understand what I'm saying? Like they're doing okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? But preparing for their future is not really part of what people are.
I want catfish,
interested.
macaroni, cheese, and yams.
I was like the catfish, black and burger fried.
Fried.
What's it, collard greens and mac and cheese?
No, it's a mac and cheese and yams.
Mac and cheese and yams?
What we doing in the appetizers? Do some wings.
we can stop. I'm in the wings with you.
The flavors like we have buffalo, barbecue,
Old Bay.
My bad.
Cheese.
Please.
The meeting
Would y'all like any other appetizers?
Are we getting one wing or are we getting?
We should probably get 2. I know they get some too.
So
I'm gonna do the catfish.
Catfish?
Mac and cheese, sweet taste.
Gotcha.
And
yams, man, yams.
and they want to be on my list.
Okay, no problem. How would you like your catfish?
Fried hard.
Fried? I heard it being here.
I need tartar sauce and hot sauce,
Sorry, talking
please. So where are we? Where are we?
We were discussing how there was a, when I was in the mortgage business, there, we did group seminars that actually help separate equity and wealth to allow people to invest and do things like that and set up,
I have to leave soon, so I'm not
life insurance policies.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The type of life insurance policies what he was talking about we could use. Yeah, that's true, and that's a strategy. And once again, and going back to what Hassan is talking about, we have to also even educate people to win in, like in the mortgage business. And my ex-wife was a real estate broker, and we put people in a funnel system. So depending on where they were in the system, depending on where they fell. So that's the 1A, 1B, 1C, type of people before they was ready to go, and we had to prepare them. So some people we might have had to work with for 6 to 8 months before they could do anything. Some people was ready to go right now. Some people was ready to go in 90 days. Right. You know what I mean? And so, but there is a type of funnel system, and there should be, and definitely, if we're gonna give people the vision, and that was a funnel system where their dream or their end result was purchasing a house. We're talking about a vision that's bigger than that. The end result, the end goal is cooperative economics and other things. So
we have that generational wealth program that should be starting pretty soon.
Really? What program is this?
This is Black Professional Man.
Oh, we're starting? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm oblivious.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I know you're new, but just so that you know, this is a situation that's put together by Black Professional Men, which we've been in existence for 25 years, and we've been helping people in the community and all throughout Baltimore for the last 25 years. And we've donated much, we've given much of our time and our energy. And this is our esteemed president, Hassan Diggs. And he found us on, Meetup.
But so with the generational wealth program, it's designed to give seminars on real estate, life insurance, all those things that help create generational wealth. But see, what y'all just talked about was the next piece after that. So that's the inform. This is the activate.
So yeah, I feel like they should be one and the same. I feel like because here check this out. If I could, I wish I would have known this stuff in high school. I'd have never even went to college. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, really. You know what I'm saying? So check this out. Say it doesn't. How old? Do you have to be 18 to start an LLC?
No.
No? Okay, cool. If I could talk to
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. You do gotta be 18.
Technically, you do. But I think at least in certain states.
I sign off on my kids' stuff.
Right.
Just so it's the ways of dealing with it.
Right. And I'm pretty sure it's the same way with credit as well, isn't it? Because I know a guy who started building.
If you're not
credit at
18,
17.
you can't legally enter into a contract.
Right. So their parents would have to sign it for them.
Right.
Good to go. Okay, cool. So we start off in high school, right? It would have to be some sort of like I think they have these like parent.
Why don't we start in 5th grade?
Yeah.
So you can start. It's just different tiers. Like what I think.
Yeah,
is,
but
I think what you guys are talking about. I think it's great. I think it's all necessary. But I think it's a certain focus. I think each one of these are different programs, and here's why I say that. Even with going into the different areas, like you said, if we went to Southwest Baltimore, we got 300 people, right?
Yes.
I think we need to chop down that niche because we're talking about providing access to information, right? We're talking about motivating people.
Right.
There's a certain part of the population that's going to be motivated when they get access to that. So who is that? It's not everybody, because just having that access everybody's not going to jump on it. You're looking for people like you, like me when I was your age, who was hungry and saying, I don't know the way, and I just need some resources to find out about it. So we're talking about first finding those people and just giving them the access. I think that's one program. Then what about the people who don't even know that this is what they're thinking about? That's a different level of program we're talking about.
Everyone, see, I just know that my generation, we all want to get rich.
Where you live
and we
at?
want to get rich now. Huh?
Where you live at?
Farm Grove, Pennsylvania.
All right, you have a house?
I live with my parents right now.
Okay. So why don't you have your own house?
I'm saving, and I'm building wealth right now. So it just makes
But you
more
buy
sense.
a house with credit.
Yeah. So I'm building my credit right now. I'm in that process.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine. That's great.
So basically, where I am right now is I just started this company called Manson Musa Financial Company, and I just started another company called Project Accounting Plus. Project Accounting Plus is a cost accounting firm, and what we're going to do is we're going to be doing the so we're going to contact construction and manufacturing firms and have them outsource their cost accounting to us. Because manufacturing, construction firms, they have to, you know what I'm saying, buy the what is it called, the programs like Sage 300. Then they have to find somebody to train new employees. Then those employees cost salary, overhead, fringe benefits, etc. We can cut all that out and make things more efficient. Cost accounting is great because construction is government contract work where I set it up so I made my mother 51% owner so that we qualify for woman-owned small business contracts and also minority business contracts as well. So that's like we're working the whole set-aside government contract thing, trying to capitalize on that whole market right there. As far as Manson Musa Financial Company, that's going to house all of my assets. So when I acquire real estate notes, when I acquire if I invest in stock or whatever, that my everything is going to be owned, all my assets are going to be owned under Manson Musa Financial Company. But also what I plan on doing with that is I'm in the process of working on affiliate partnerships with Jay Morrison Academy, and I want to contact Dr. Boyce Watkins soon as well. And through Manson Musa, I'm going to develop the whole financial literacy piece, and that's how I'm going to give back. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing with that. So, and tax write-offs, all that other stuff.
All right. So, like, see, to your point about the first 300 people, right? To me, the first 300 people we do in that congested area is just information, right? So then there's going to be people who say, I got this information. What do I want to do with it?
Now what? How? You're talking about the how now.
Right. And so I don't expect the full 300 people to be that. So that's what this will come in at.
So the ones who do, we bring them in, and we can, if we collaborate, right? But between us, you know what I'm saying? With business credit, we could go and purchase an apartment complex off of leveraging business credit between us, right?
And I'm in agreement with that. Now, but what I am going to tell you is that there is a process, and two things. As I've been through this process, and I've done some things successfully. Even what we're talking about right now, we got to reel it back in. You know what I mean? Because even right now, you haven't bought your first house, and we've already set up. We got a whole system.
Right.
You know what I mean? That doesn't have any. It hasn't been actuated, hasn't been executed, and it hasn't been verified and proven yet. Okay. Which is, and I'm not saying that to say that it won't. All I'm saying is that we got to work within things that are actually working. You know what I mean? And then you're talking about a group activity. Right. So even finding it, to what he was saying. You have to find these people first, and so we got to bring that back to. That takes even a campaign to market to find people like the thinking people that are in this room.
Yeah.
So we're here because we're like-minded, but we're 6 people out of 650,000 people that showed up tonight.
But let me ask you this question here. So for your apartment complex, how much would it cost?
Let's see. I actually seen one on what is it called?
TV.
No, it wasn't TV. I was on one of the little, things. I don't know if it was Craigslist or it was something. It was something. No, it wasn't Craigslist. It was something. But I found an off-market deal for $500,000 to $800,000.
Okay. When you get up to that amount of money, they scrutinize your credit a little bit differently if you're trying to get something for a few $100,000. You know this, right?
A little bit.
All right.
Yeah.
I know this, and so I am straddling the fence, right? So on one side, I have a low income transaction. On the other side, I have a high income transaction, and the rules are different.
Okay.
The expectations are different. It's like, okay, if you're on the low side, okay, well, you're supposed to help this right out here, blah blah blah. If you're on this other side, you're supposed to already have it. So when you're talking about trying to do one of those things where you leverage one thing to propel to another, it works, but it doesn't work because you don't get the same kind of support from programs that you would get at the lower echelon funding rates.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
As far as I was gonna say as far as
in the commercial property, you're looking at a 20%. You're looking at a 20% investment up front. Whereas though the funder of
Plus
commercial real
closing
estate,
costs.
you have to deal with 20% down and closing costs, and now you can come in now with that.
Let's
we
not
can be
gloss over
creative.
closing costs,
Right.
'cause
we can be creative and
they're a
get,
lot.
and get partners and things like that. But every other step that we do outside of I'm writing the check, it costs money.
Right.
You know what I mean? It costs additional money.
Right.
Or you know what I mean. And so that's even with the commercial side. The average people see, this is above average. Obviously, this is above average conversation. This is not a conversation.
It's
that
not
average people
necessarily
sitting around.
above because, like, when I was his age, I had the same thought. So,
Well,
but you were
his age, but
it's not the average.
It's not average. Nobody in this room I would consider to be average.
Yeah.
I don't because we're not sitting out here just like we could be watching a football game right now. But we made a conscious choice. You know what I mean? To come here and talk about business and advancing our community. That's above average in the black community. Now, that is a low bar. You know what I mean? But the reality is that we all still have slave tendencies.
Exactly.
And slaves don't think about the future. Slaves don't think about having their own situation. Slaves not thinking like that.
Yeah.
So we already above average, just the simple fact that we chose to be here tonight.
You know what you said hits it right on the nose, and that's powerful because it goes a long way.
Yes.
Like, just to touch on the point you said, slaves don't think about the future, right?
Exactly.
They're thinking about right now, what can I eat right now?
Right.
So that mentality transcends generations, right? So if we're talking about going into the community and teaching people how to build wealth, the majority of the people are thinking about today. They're not thinking long term. So that's what I'm saying. Like
the people that we're talking to are slaves mostly.
Yes.
for the most